Hello and welcome back to the Massimo Peluso channel. Sorry I haven't been posting that much recently. I've been really busy working. I've got a new job at my local supermarket. Last week I worked 34 hours, so I'm pretty dead and I'm pretty busy. So I haven't really had time for this. So I've set aside some time to do this. I had my shift today. But in today's video, I'm going to be talking about my top tips for people starting their first year at university. So I finished my first year at Brighton, loved it there, loved the people, loved my course. But I'm going to be talking to you about my tips and advice for starting first year. So, of course, it's a very, very stressful time. I was so nervous starting first year. I mean, just millions and millions of thoughts were going on in my mind. So it's quite nice to have these sorts of videos to kind of help you. So my biggest tip is just to have an open mind. Don't go into it expecting anything. Know that you will be mixing with all sorts of people, you know, different genders, religions, ethnicities. So really do have an open mind. Don't kind of limit yourself to what kind of friends you normally hang around with. I'll tell you this, I had friends that I never thought I would have friends with. You know, like people that I wouldn't even imagine or dream of, that I'm so thankful that I did, because I wasn't kind of narrow-minded in kind of my friends. Like, oh, I just want to be friends with boys, or I just want, you know. So it's always nice to just kind of go into it, be friendly to everyone, and then kind of see what happens. My next tip is kind of say yes to everything, I suppose. Obviously there are some limits. You know, like to social events, to meetups, to gatherings, to pre-drinks, to events, to sporting, to, you know, course stuff. Say yes to everything, you know, because your first year is very important. I mean, you may not care for it, but socialising and making friends, first year is important because it kind of sets like the tone for second and third year. The friends you make first year will be the friends you kind of have for the rest of your university career, so it's kind of important. Also, more for keeping your mind busy, keeping yourself busy, especially if you're homesick, like I was. And if you're homesick, please do check out my other video that I did about tips dealing with homesickness, because trust me, one time or another, regardless if you're very confident, if you're like away from your family a lot, you probably will at one time or another experience homesickness, because you can be away from your family weeks and months at a time. So I recommend watching that video. Although first year doesn't count for most courses, for like 99% I would say, maybe more, please do work hard, please do listen, and please do all your assignments, because it is important. You know, you still at the end of the day need to pass first year, because if you don't, you can't progress on to second year. So although I'm transferring to Met, Brighton still gave me the option to transfer to second year because I passed it. So it's important to work hard, and although it's kind of a year for learning curves and for improvements and to mess up, you need to pass, you know, you need to just work hard. I mean, the thing is with university, which is amazing, it's very 50-50. You could do 50% of your, you know, like half of it is kind of doing the university work, and then the other half is socialising and, you know, clubbing and all of that. So it is very, very flexible, and it is kind of, especially first year, shaped and moulded around socialising and making friends. But I quickly want to just point out and kind of mention that if you're not a very outgoing, extrovert kind of person, don't think that university is not for you, because you may not believe it, you may do, I don't know. I'm not an extrovert, I'm a very introverted person. I do, at the end of the day, do like my own company, I like being by myself. And you know, like big scenes and big clubs, you know, kind of don't really interest me. But I still went, I still experienced it, and I still liked it. So don't think that, oh, university's not for me, I don't like socialising. Like, university's for everyone. There are so many societies, you know, fit for different reasons and fit for different like interests. Like there's ones for subjects, sports, like photography, more kind of casual ones. So there are always opportunities to make friends, and there's always opportunities to like you don't have to go out every single night. You know, like there are other opportunities to socialise, and it doesn't have to be in a club or a bar setting. Because I thought that, I'm like, oh, I know silly now, looking back in hindsight. I'm like, I thought to myself, oh, is university for me? Like, I'm not a very socializing kind of outgoing person. Is it for me? Like, just go. You know, at the end of the day, you're there for a degree. Like, also, it's kind of like a weird mention, but especially if you're going into first year. But just know that during your first year, I didn't. You may have thoughts in your head like, is this course for me? Do I like this course? Is university for me? That's normal. But secondly, if they're persistent thoughts, then I definitely recommend talking to like a lecturer or your seminar tutors or someone at the university to kind of guide you and kind of help you, because it's okay to change courses, it's okay to change universities, and it's okay to kind of like defer it or just drop out of university completely. You know, because I'm transferring because I want to be closer to London and closer to home, so it's okay to do that. Don't think you're any kind of, you know, like you should be looked down upon. I know one girl, I don't know her personally, but I know of her. She went to Brighton. She was there for about 3 months. She had really bad anxiety and she dropped out, and now she's working. So, you know, just because you're there and you're doing it doesn't mean you have to finish it. Like, there are other opportunities and you have your reasonings and you can change your mind. Like, that's fine. Don't think you're any less because you want to change your mind. Like, that's fine. University is overwhelming, but it taught me a lot, especially living away from home. It taught me a lot about myself, that I'm very hardworking, that I'm very driven, that I'm very caring, that I'm very just like a nice person. It sounds silly to say, but you do learn a lot about yourself, about your habits, about your interests, about how you are with people, because you are thrown into like out of your comfort zone.